Great to welcome on the show a guy who's been with us a number of times over the years and decades. It's always good to talk to him. He is the voice of Queensrÿche, and these days, oddly enough, he's the voice of his version of Queensrÿche. We are joined by Geoff Tate. How are you, Geoff?
Hi, Eddie. How are you?
Good. You're on the West Coast, huh?
I'm on the West Coast, San Diego, actually.
How have these dates been going? This is relatively early in the version of touring with this band. How's things going?
Yeah, we've been out about 2 weeks now and doing great. You know, shows are selling out and we're having a great time, a lot of laughs, great band, just having a great time, actually.
You had to, you went through some, I guess you could call it growing pains and tweaks and changes when you got this band together and off the ground, and now it's fairly solidified and you're out there on the road with it. How is it gelled? How does it feel for you?
It feels great. Yeah, it's a good bunch of guys, and more importantly, I think we're having a great time playing together and great time hanging out, which is a big part of it. There's a great camaraderie that's already beginning with everyone, so that's a great thing. It makes it so much easier and more comfortable to tour.
In a certain sense, Geoff, does it feel like you're starting all over again?
No, not at all. It's, in some ways, I suppose it feels different, because I'm playing with some different people, but they're also people I've known for many, many years, so it's not like a big stretch, of having to get to know you kind of stages. So I don't know, it just feels really comfortable. We're having a great time.
Was that a big part in selecting the musicians for your version of Queensrÿche, to make sure that these were people that were not only musicians that you liked and that you thought could certainly handle the gig, but also guys that you could really connect with and had some history with?
Yeah, well, that's a big part of it. You're traveling together, you're living together, so it's better, if people's personalities gel, and they can get along, that kind of thing. And also, it's very important to find people that can play the stuff. A lot of times musicians, you say, hey, can you sit in with us and play this? And they listen to it once and think, oh, yeah, I got that. Because they kind of interpret it as being, kind of standard rock stuff. And then when they actually start playing it, they find, oh, wait a minute, this is a lot more complex than I thought. This is a little bit more difficult to wrap my head around. There's some strange stuff about Queensrÿche music, different timings and different counts, between sections, odd things that happen, very strange chord voicing, on the guitar, and very unique, as part of what makes the sound unique.
So do you feel they pretty much come together and nailed it, or you still think you're working through some stuff?
Oh, no, I think everybody's doing really well now. The first week out was kind of an adjustment period with, the band getting used to playing together, and then we also had a new crew as well, so getting people, tuned into what we were expecting and what our expectations were and that kind of thing, and, just getting things dialed in always takes a little while to get things up and running, but it's going good now, everything's smooth, and, happy days.
And I got a tweet or a text actually last night from a good friend of mine, drummer Brian Tishy, who told me he's coming on board the Queensrÿche camp in your band starting in June. Tell me about that.
Yeah, Brian's taken over for Simon. Simon has a commitment in South America for June, so Brian's going to take over and play with us, and we're starting rehearsals with him beginning of May.
Yeah, he's an amazing player as well. He'll definitely
he is.
he'll
nice
put
guy too.
Yeah, and he sings really well too. So
now that I didn't know.
Yes, he sings well, and he also is an amazing guitar player. The guy is he's kind of like a Dave Grohl, if you will. He can do a little bit of everything. It's pretty remarkable.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, anybody else has to take a leave or whatever, you could probably pretty much plug him anywhere, and he could more or less handle it. What's the set now that you've put together for this band? I'm sure, and we're going to talk about your new record and your first with this band in a second, but as far as the old material, what was your approach to going out on tour with these guys for the first time?
Well, we're really focusing on the 25th anniversary of Operation Mindcrime, and so we're playing that whole album in its entirety, and that's really our focus. And then we do quite an extensive encore, really, quite a few songs, kind of the more popular songs of Queensrÿche. And yeah, pretty much that's it. Really, the focus is on the Mindcrime record.
And let's talk about, of course, the new record, which I imagine you're doing something from live.
We haven't yet. No, we're getting ready to do that, though, when the album comes out.
Well, the album will be out this Tuesday, and it's called Frequency Unknown, and it's a very significant record, I would imagine, in your history, because it's the first album with the Queensrÿche name that only features you from the original lineup. Tell me about putting this record together, Geoff, because when did you write this material? Was it written when things were disintegrating with the other band, or was it all done after that had happened?
No, it was all done after that. Yeah, it's pretty much, I think we started writing it in, sometime around my birthday, I think January, something like that. And jumped into the studio right away, and things started rolling, and it had a real good kind of organic start, with the writing team. And then we started getting different people on board for performances, which was really fun. And sitting down and seeing where people could take it, take the songs, which is always really fun for me. Because, every musician has a different way of interpreting music. You can have four guys play the same chord progression, and it's going to sound different, each time through with a different guy, So I like that part of musicianship, seeing how people put their signature on things,
And you reached out to a number of special guests on this record to come in and do a part. Can you tell us about some of those guys? I know you had KK Downing is on there, Dave Menichetti, guys, of course, I'm a big fan of. Tell me about your approach to doing that.
Yeah, well, just let's see who was else on it. Brad Gillis played on it. Paul Bostaff from Testament. There's a lot of people actually that I can't remember because I don't have a list in front of me right now. But it was really fun. Really fun hearing different people's interpretations of the songs, and then giving them free reign to play solos, and seeing what they came up with, and seeing how each guy approached it. How, like KK, the way he performs and the way he approaches writing a solo is so different than the way Brad Gillis does. They're two radically different approaches. And having never worked with them in a studio situation, it was really interesting to see that difference.
Talking live with Geoff Tate of Queensrÿche. His version of Queensrÿche's album comes out on Tuesday. It's called Frequency Unknown, and it features some of these guest performances we're talking about. I think, Geoff, outside of, I know he did a cover of The Who, Eminence Front, for a Who tribute, but outside of that, this is kind of the first thing that KK has done since leaving Priest musically.
I think you're right, yeah.
That's pretty cool that you were able to pull him out of semi-retirement.
Well, he's a good guy.
He's a great guy. Did it get his...
got along with him.
Yeah, did he get talking about maybe getting his juices flowing to start playing a little bit more? Did you ever get to talk to him at all?
We talked about a lot of stuff, I think, but nothing that I could really, feel comfortable sharing with other people, really, honestly.
Right. On the new album, you also re-recorded some Queensrÿche songs. Tell me about doing that.
I think we re-recorded 4 past Queensrÿche songs, and that was quite a trip down memory lane, I tell you. Really kind of a strange thing to do, but fun. I enjoyed it.
Was the idea just to put a different spin on them and show what you would do with them now with the guys you're playing with now?
No. It was just done for the record company. They wanted to have these different versions, and they wanted them to sound, as close as we could make them to the originals. And that's what was really hard, was making them sound that way. With today's technology, it's somewhat difficult to actually replicate some of that old, sound gear, and the way they were recorded, and different studios, different gear, that kind of thing. Very challenging.
Yeah, they sound really cool, though. I mean, there's some different, some little differences in there, and obviously you've got different people playing that stuff, and it's always interesting to hear their take on things.
Mm-hmm.
Talking live with Geoff Tate. Frequency Unknown is the new record. So, Geoff, it's been, I would say, we're coming up on a year since everything kind of imploded with the old band, and it's been quite the year for you, and I imagine for them and for the fans, and trying to decipher everything along the way. You also put out a solo album, which shouldn't be lost in the shuffle because there was some good stuff on it. Maybe it did a little bit, I think. Do you feel that way because of everything that went on?
Oh, Eddie, I don't know. I don't even really understand the whole, position of records in today's world anymore. It's a whole different thing,
That's a good point. What doesn't get lost in the shuffle? The record business is pretty different.
Yeah, it really is. It doesn't, even resemble what it used to be, So, I make new music because I have to. It's something that's in me to create music and to write, and it's really come down to that. It's not so much a monetary gain exercise anymore. It's really all about the love of writing and making music. That's what it is. But I guess that's what it's always been, really.
Right.
But the industry was just in such a state back then where you could make a record and then you could do a reasonable tour, and you could make ends meet pretty well just following that schedule, financially I'm speaking. And nowadays, you can't sell that many records, so you have to tour more, of course. So it's a whole different way of doing things.
But being that it's been almost a year now that this has all gone down, when I first had you on that metal show and we discussed it, it was much more raw. It was much more, it had just happened, and you were really, I felt at least in talking to you then, still trying to process it and still very much stung by everything that had happened. And you kind of reflected that in the interview when we had you on the TV show. Now that some time has passed and you have your own band and you're out there touring and you've got a new record coming out with it Tuesday, are you in a different place with it now? I mean, how do you feel? Are you excited? Are you optimistic? What's your thought process after everything that's went down in the last year as far as the future and where your head's at?
Well, when you have your life's work and you all of a sudden are not doing that anymore in the same way, it takes a while to sort of adjust your mind to, the possibilities of what could be, in the future. And, there's a lot of stuff you have to process, and sort out. And, I've done that now. So, I'm on the, I guess I'm on the road and, moving ahead with my life and, my music and, my relationships and, just enjoying life, and it's a great place to be in, actually. I wish I could have been in this position a lot earlier in my life. I never really realized how, slightly miserable I was, I guess you get used to your misery, you get kind of used to the way things are and you just accept it and you live with it. But then when you're, say divorced from that situation and you realize, gosh, I'm so much happier now. And, it's a wonderful revelation, really, to realize that, you don't have to be miserable. You don't have to be stuck in the situation you're in. Life goes on and it is what you make it. And so I'm busy making it.
Have you heard the song from the other band?
No, I haven't.
Do you have an interest in it, or you just choose to not even kind of think it exists?
No, Eddie, I just have, honestly no interest at all in anything on that side of the tracks. I'm very happy on my side of the tracks and moving where I'm going, and I don't want to look back.
And when will this be resolved as to which, is it November that once and for all one Queensrÿche will more or less be anointed?
I suppose so. That's a good way to put it, anointed.
Because I imagine
I think November is our court date, and I suppose some things will be decided by then. Maybe even before then, I don't know, but definitely by November we have a court date where we have to go in and actually, move ahead from there.
And the last thing, Geoff, is the fans. Obviously they were put into this. Queensrÿche has a very passionate fan base. I find in talking to the fans, some have felt the need to choose a side. Some have decided, like myself, to I'm not only a fan, but I'm friends with all you guys for a long time, to just give everybody a platform and let the fans listening decide. But for you, what have you seen in the fan response that you've been out there with this band, and what are you hearing from the fans, and what are some of the things maybe that you think are out there that are erroneous or out of line that you maybe want to set the record straight on?
Well, from my perspective, I just see, people coming to the shows and having a good time and celebrating the music. And, nothing's changed, in that respect. I do caution people, in my opinion, I don't think people have to choose a side at all. These things happen with people, relationships, bands, where people go their separate ways, and there's a reason for it, and life moves on, and why not roll with it and just enjoy what each camp has to offer. If you don't like something somebody's doing, then no big deal. Go listen to somebody else. It's not worth getting all worked up about, and getting emotional about. It's music. It's subjective. It's art. It's somebody's idea, and people make those choices, to be upset about things. And all I'm saying, I guess, is, choose to have a good time in life. It's too short to get all worked up about stuff that doesn't matter.
And the last thing, and there's a number of people that pointed this out, and I think it's kind of funny. The album that comes out tomorrow, or Tuesday rather, is called Frequency Unknown. The cover features a fist with the FU initials. There's a number of people who have read into that as being not too subtle of a dig at your former band. Coincidence or not?
Oh gosh, people read so much into everything. It's kind of funny, isn't it?
Well, a big fist with the letters FU, it's you don't have a bouquet of roses under it, so maybe it would be a little different if that was pictured.
Well, I don't think a bouquet of roses is very metal, do you?
No, I don't at all. That's a very good point, Geoff. Well, listen, man, best of luck, and I look forward to seeing you with this lineup. And again, Geoff's Queensrÿche, Frequency Unknown, comes out on Tuesday, and we're going to play. I got to get this commercial break in, so we'll play the commercials, and then on the other side, I'll let you go, Geoff, because I know you have a gig. On the other side, we'll play the lead track from the new album called Cold. So thank you for your time, man. Have a good gig tonight.
Oh, thanks, Eddie. Thanks for having me on, man. Take care.
You got it. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.